Hi, I'm Katie, and I'm the Resource Director and Intake Specialist for Saving Our Sisters, which is a nonprofit that is run by birth moms. And our mission is to educate expectant parents on the realities of infant adoption in the United States. And we also assist when a revocation is possible to help a mom get custody of her baby back. I wanted to make a post about trends that we have been seeing over the course of the last couple of years in domestic infant adoption in the United States, because this is very important information to expectant parents who are considering placing their baby for adoption. It's probably even important information for prospective adoptive parents. First, set the stage of what is happening in domestic infant adoption in the United States. Context is very important. So in the United States, infant adoption is practiced like nowhere else in the world. By population, infant adoption in the United States is astronomical compared to peer countries. There is huge demand for specifically the adoption of infants. There are an estimated 1 to 2 million couples who are seeking to adopt specifically an infant. Those can range, an average is $40,000, but we have seen numbers as high as $100,000 for the adoption of an infant. There is very little supply, and I hate to speak in those terms, but this truly is a supply and demand industry. There are an estimated 18,000 babies who are placed for adoption each year. That is a huge discrepancy between these numbers, and it can cause a lot of unethical behaviors and practices. Saving Our Sisters frequently talks to expectant parents who are considering placing their baby for adoption, and so we are able to gather and collect a lot of data that is happening in real time in domestic infant adoption in the United States. So this is one of the trends that we have been seeing. I'm going to use a very sad little graphic here. I'm not an artist, but hopefully you will get the gist. So in 30 states in the United States, adoption facilitation is illegal. And that usually means matchmaking. You are a matchmaker. That means that you are bringing, without a license, you are not licensed. You are bringing prospective adoptive parents and expectant parents together, and then you don't have a license, so you have to send that match off to an agency or an attorney who is licensed. In 30 states, that is illegal. What that facilitator is doing is illegal. These agencies and attorneys are very aware where they are receiving these matches from and that what these individuals are doing is illegal. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, just recently sent out a letter to 31 adoption facilitators, basically telling them, hey, what you're doing is wrong and you need to shut it down. I will discuss that maybe in a later post. To the graphic. At the top, we have the adoption facilitator, who is most likely not licensed, and what they are doing is illegal in 30 states. Except in these states, even when it is brought to their attention, they don't really have a mechanism of enforcement, and it usually goes from department to department to department, and nothing's really ever done about it. So this facilitator, often they'll refer to themselves as something else because facilitation has gotten such a bad name. So they may refer to themselves as consultants or independent contractors, whatever they call themselves. They are most likely unlicensed, but they spend a ton of money on media, on advertising. Whenever you type in, I'm pregnant and poor, most likely they're going to come up in your Google search up at the top, and it's going to say, do you need housing? Do you need food? Whatever it is. They target a specific population. Even if you are not looking to place your baby for adoption, they have a number of, terms in their SEO that they use to target specific populations of pregnant people. These adoption facilitators often represent themselves as licensed adoption agencies. So expectant parents who come across them don't know any wiser. They often believe either by omission or the agency, the facilitator will just flat out say, hey, we're a licensed adoption agency, and they are not at all. So expectant parents are under the impression, once they have connected with one of these facilitators, that this facilitator is their representation and is working on their behalf. What this facilitator is actually doing is they are marketing to this pregnant population because they have a number of prospective adoptive parents who have signed annual or 2-year contracts with them. Some of these contracts range up to $9,000 a year. The whole point of the facilitator is to find expectant parents who might consider placing their baby for adoption. They make a match. So the adoption facilitator with the prospective adoptive parents and the expectant parent, they have made a match. That is all that they can do. They get paid for their services, and they send this match to the next line in the process. At this point, it will go to an attorney or a licensed adoption agency because they have to be licensed to be able to do the adoption paperwork and finalization and all of that. These attorneys and these licensed agencies are well aware of the legality of the facilitator. Many of them don't care because there is a tremendous amount of money involved. The facilitator is doing them a benefit because they're doing all the marketing. They're doing all the advertising. That takes a lot of time and a lot of money that these agencies and attorneys are saving by essentially outsourcing this part of the process. If it's through an attorney, most likely there is an independent social worker. These social workers often have their own business where they do home studies or pre and post placement support for adoptive parents, prospective and adoptive parents. But for the attorney to save money, often they will outsource to a social worker to do like the consent and the data, the collection of information from the expectant parent. So then it can move on to the attorney who basically just does the final paperwork. Another trend in domestic infant adoption in the United States is to use the term ethical adoption. And these adoption professionals like to separate themselves, from all of those unethical professionals. So they will use the term ethical. They will most likely tell mom, oh, you get your own representation. We will set you up with an attorney. And mom knows none the wiser. She believes, oh, wow, they are ethical. But who is paying for that representation? The prospective adoptive parents. And we have had moms where they believed that they had their own representation. And when we do a little bit of research, we find that these attorneys are buddies and they're hanging out in social settings outside of work. They are, they are friends. And to be a mom believing that you are getting unbiased representation from an attorney just to find out that you're really a part of a machine where these attorneys are all hanging out with each other and their buddies and their friends. That's a really terrible feeling. We have had so many situations where a mom never even meets her supposed representation. She may have a 10 or 15-minute phone call with this attorney who is supposed to be representing her. And when she contacts Saving Our Sisters, she realizes then how much information has been withheld from her, how much information has been omitted. And especially in a situation where she has a right to revocation, this attorney is not hired to walk her through the process of revocation. This attorney was specifically hired to do adoption paperwork. And so she is left high and dry when it comes to a moment where she can actually withdraw and revoke her consent to an adoption. I know this was long. Thank you for watching, but this is such important information for expectant parents who are considering placing their baby for adoption. There is a reason why infant adoption in the United States is $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. So much of it goes into marketing. There are so many hands in the pot making money off of this industry. And this is why there's so much pressure placed on expectant parents and those who have chosen an adoption plan who want to break away from that. There's a tremendous amount of pressure placed on them to continue with the adoption plan because there is incredible demand and very little supply, and there is a lot of money involved. As always, be careful out there.